Hi guys, welcome to MotorBeam. We are braving out the rains in Goa to give you the review of this car, the Citroen C3. Now the Citroen C3 is the first mass market product from Citroen. Last year they launched the C5, which is their flagship SUV, and this is going to be a mass market hatchback. Yes, it does look a lot like a SUV. The design language is very similar. So let's find out what this car is all about. The only LEDs you find here are these two DRLs. The headlamps and fog lamps are halogen. Now, अगर आप देखो तो इसका जो bonnet है, it is slightly raised. So it is slightly raised to give you that SUV kind of a stance. There are a lot of other SUV elements also here. So let's go to the side. So if you see, the side gets this black color body cladding all around, which does give it a bit of a SUV feel, but eventually this is just a hatchback. Now there are a lot of customization options also. If you see around the fog lamp assembly, in this car has a titanium grey insert. You also have an option of orange. These two inserts can be on the fog lamp right over here at the back, the roof, as well as the mirror assembly. So this car rides on 15-inch wheels, but if you notice, there are no alloy wheels on offer, which is a little surprising, isn't it? Now if you see, these are steel wheels which have been given a wheel cap, so it does look. Now this is something which French guys do quite often. I remember even the Renault Triber has something like this. So coming to the rear profile, the first thing you notice is कि इसमें दो चीजें नहीं है यहाँ पे, rear wiper and rear defogger. So that is missing. Rear camera is not offered. What you get are parking sensors. These wraparound tail lamps do look good, but they again don't get any LED. They are all halogen and bulbs. We're driving on a really bad stretch of road here, and if you see, this ground clearance of 180 mm is very handy for bad roads, especially in our country where there are plenty of them. So Citroen tells us that the target customer for this car loves a lot of personalization, so hence they are offering a lot of accessory packs and a total 56 options of customization around this car. So totally there are 3 variants on offer. For the naturally aspirated you get in live and feel, while the turbocharged only comes in the feel variant. So when you speak dimensionally, this car is much larger than the other cars in the segment. If you see, this car is, yes, a little bit shorter than the Punch, but it is much longer. This has the longest wheelbase in the segment. So dimensionally, this car is much bigger than the other cars it competes with in the segment. So when you get inside, the first thing you notice is that the seats are actually quite supportive. You see there's a lot of side bolstering which gives you a lot of lateral support. Under that support, surprisingly, is quite good in this car. And headroom, I think this is best in class headroom. Shoulder room also they say is 50 mm more by conventional hatchback standards. So the driver's seat gets height adjustment as well. While the steering wheel is very nice and compact, very small in size, feels very nice to hold. Gets tilt adjustment but is not telescopic. Another thing worthy of note here is that the seating position is almost 100 mm higher than a conventional hatchback. So it actually gives you a very nice view of the road, and this is in sync with Citroen's philosophy that they want to make the C3 as much of a SUV as possible. So now let's talk about what is in the equipment list. Now you get a very nice 10-inch touchscreen infotainment system, gets wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The AC is actually a chiller. Now it's actually monsoon here, it's pretty cool outside. I had to literally turn the AC between hot and cold because I was feeling cold. The AC actually is meant for tropical Indian summers, and Citroen says they've tested this extensively, but you do not get an automatic climate control. A digital instrument cluster is on offer. There is no tachometer here. It gives you all the relevant information on trip A, trip B, fuel efficiency. So you also get some buttons on the steering wheel for volume, picking up a call and scrolling through your music. The power for window lock is here, fog lamps is here, and you also get a headlamp leveler in this dial form. Like, I think these French guys love these dials because even in other French cars you get this dial. So another thing which the Citroen C3 misses out is the mirror is manual and there is absolutely no dimming option here. Glove box is decent in size. You have a lot of space inside. There's a recess here for your phone, cup holders here. You can put some stuff here, another space here. While the door pockets also get enough space for bottles. What I really like is the dashboard. It looks very nice, very sleek. Now the same theme is carried forward on the inside, what we saw outside. Now if you saw around the fog lamps, on the roof, on the mirror housing, even at the back, you get this titanium grey in this car. Now this same titanium grey you get on the dashboard also over here. It looks very nice. Feels very rich, and there's also a metal finish, silver metal finish here on the dashboard, which just gives it a very nice appeal. So on the safety front you do get 2 airbags, but the headrests all over, like the front as well as the rear seats, are integrated, and you don't even get a headrest for the middle passenger. So in spite of so many things not being there, the power windows, all 4 of them, like the front as well as the back ones, are one touch down, which is very cool because you don't get that in many cars. So you get a single USB charging port in front, you get a 12-volt charger socket, and even at the rear you get these 2 USB ports for charging your digital devices. Now coming to the rear seat, it offers good amount of support. It's very firm, the cushioning, and under thigh support is pretty decent, because for me being 6 foot and 2 inches, I always find under thigh support lacking in most cars, but this is like by far most acceptable by hatchback standards. Because of the SUV kind of styling, Citroen has given a higher seating, but they've done a theatre arrangement. So the rear seat is actually sitting a little higher than the front seat, which gives it a little more room in the rear bench. Now if you see, this seat is adjusted to my driving position. I'm 6 foot 2 inches, and at the rear I'm reasonably comfortable. Even headroom at the back is quite acceptable. A central armrest is also absent here. So boot space measures 315 liters, which is quite good by the segment standards. And if you just look at the space inside, it gives you a good perspective on how much luggage you can add in here. Yes, the loading lip is a tad bit high, but it is very usable. So you get these hooks on either side, which you can use to hang up to 3 kgs of bags. So I'm driving the naturally aspirated version of the C3. Now this is powered by a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine. This produces 82 PS of power, 115 Newton meters of torque, and it delivers around 19.8 kilometers per litre as per, it is a claimed fuel efficiency. Now this is made it to a 5-speed manual transmission. The manual gearbox is pretty slick actually, feels very nice to hold as well. Power delivery is pretty decent by hatchback standards. The gear ratios are decently spaced out for both city and highway driving conditions. So if you talk about ride and handling, the plush ride of the C5 is like the benchmark in the segment, and the C3 now carries forward the same DNA. The ride is very soft, very plush, very comfortable, but at the same time the handling also is something which is pretty impressive. So I think they found a very nice balance between ride and handling. The steering feels quite weighed up, very well centered, very predictable, which is something which you don't find in most of the mass market hatchbacks today. So the digital instrument cluster which you get doesn't get a tachometer, but it does get a gear shift reminder. So if you're a beginner, it will tell you, which gear you should be in. So if you're in 3rd and you need to be in 4th, it will give you that up arrow to indicate that you should be upshifting now. Just got an empty stretch of road, and in the first gear, this car topped out at 53 kilometers per hour, and in the second gear at 97 kilometers per hour, which is pretty impressive for a small hatchback. Of course, I didn't really get to stretch the 3rd gear, but I think the ratios are very well spaced out. So this is the turbocharged variant, 1.2 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine, produces 110 PS of power, 190 Newton meters of torque, now which is by far the highest in the segment. Now we reckon this car is going to compete between the Swift and the Baleno, and none of the cars, the Swift, the Punch or the Baleno right now, get a turbocharged engine. I think the Punch will be getting a turbocharged engine later, but for now this is the best performing car in the segment. Now this 6-speed manual transmission is quite slick, shifts are good, and this car is a lot of fun to drive. Now especially with the steering feel so well calibrated, you can actually push this car around corners. Doesn't feel like a mass market hatch. Now in spite of producing 110 PS of power, this car also delivers around 19.4 kilometers per litre, which is almost, give and take, similar to the naturally aspirated variant. So the fuel efficiency is good with both these variants. Yes, a teeny mini hint of turbo lag when you start off, but once things get rolling, it is smooth right till the high end of the rev band. It's surprising how the same engine block effectively can have such different variants just because of the turbo. Definitely this turbocharged one is much more fun to drive. The mid-range is so strong, the high end is so strong, the car keeps just going. Now even at such speeds, the high speed stability is quite good. These 195 section tires offer a lot of grip. The brakes also bite pretty well. So I think it's better, if you have to compromise, to give alloy wheels and give 175 section tires, rather give steel wheels and give 195 section tires, so at least you get better grip, better braking, better stability. I'm honestly quite surprised that this car rides and handles so well for a small hatchback. I mean, not small, but a hatchback. So आज पूरे दिन ये गाड़ी चलाने के बाद I can tell you that this car is much bigger in the segment. It is much more spacious. The ride and handling is very good, and especially the ride, it is so soft, so cushioned, and I think it's by far the best ride in the segment. Now also when it comes to engine options, none of the cars in this segment actually offer a turbo. So this turbo offers the best in class torque as well as power. Now coming to the other things, there is a lot of cost cutting. We know this car is built to a price. A lot of things are missing. So we reckon that Citroen is going to price it very aggressively, and if they can manage to just hit the sweet spot with the pricing, this could be an opening chapter for Citroen's mass market journey in India. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, share, and tell me in the comments, what do you think about this car?